All right, you're watching the Mike Nelson Show. I want to thank everybody who's already liked and subscribed to the channel. We got a lot of cool interviews. We got a lot of great ones coming up as well. Today, I got a very special interview. I got Jamie Reynolds of the band 1967. How you doing today, Jamie?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you, Mike? Good to see you.
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, it's good to see you too. The band 1967. You guys are from Portland, right?
Yeah, we're based in Portland, Seattle, Phoenix, everywhere, man. We've been everywhere around the Southwest and Northwest the last, I don't know, 11 years or so. So,
And
yeah, man.
tell me about how did the when did you get into music, Jamie? When did it all start out for you?
Oh, gosh, I think I started playing piano at maybe age 4. Piano lessons from grandma. There's musical instruments around the house. Probably back that far, really. I mean, yeah, long time ago.
And did
Started
you kind
feeling.
of always know you were gonna be a musician? Back then, did you always kind of have that dream?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, like Eddie Van Halen with like Panama. Like my sister had the VHSs around. My brother did. Michael Jackson's Thriller album was playing a lot when I was a little youngster. Getting the tennis racket out, playing Beat It, stuff like that. I guess that's Eddie Van Halen technically on that solo, but yeah, man. I mean, music was always blasting in the house. A lot of instruments around: drums, bass, guitars, organs, pianos, microphones, like you name it. My
Yeah.
dad played out in a cover band, so yeah, man, it's always been around.
And you grew up in Portland, right?
I grew up in a town called LaConner, Washington. It's about 60 miles north of Seattle, Washington. So a little small little town. So yeah, man, rural farmland everywhere.
How do you think that shaped you as a musician? Growing up in that rural town.
A lot of time to focus on the craft that you're looking to do. Like I remember when I chose to play guitar around maybe age 11 or 12. I had all this time after school to like dedicate just to like learning how to play, like getting the calluses built up, just like really getting after it, getting frustrated. I don't know if you play guitar as well.
I play a little
Uh,
guitar. I play alto sax, a violin, and a little guitar. But my first instrument was violin when I was 6 years old.
that's amazing, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the calluses happen with the violin, do
Yeah,
they?
it does. It does. Yeah, sure does. Yeah, you develop little calluses and all that, but yeah, you do.
Yeah. So yeah, just trying to power through that kind of little thing, and just being a teenager and just going for it, just trying to figure songs out, trying to learn like your favorite songs, like Alice in Chains back then, like Living Color, Cult of Personality, trying to figure that one out. I mean, it was a lot of hard work listening to Rush, Metallica, Soundgarden, all that stuff. The
So
Seattle scene.
so you grew up and the whole Seattle scene was it kind of kicking off then when you were kind of growing up, the whole the whole grunge movement kind of started right in the mid 80s, late 80s, all those bands started coming out. What do you remember about that time?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I remember when Pearl Jam and Nirvana came out. Like, I remember going into Sam Goody at like the local mall, and like they had the cassettes in there. Like you saw like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Mother's Milk was in there. Like it was a whole different world as far as from like a purchasing standpoint, from a consumer standpoint. And yeah, it was all over MTV. And I remember when I saw Nirvana, I was just like kind of blown away. I was like, this is really weird. This doesn't sound like Skid Row or like you know that kind of stuff, which was kind of big as well. So it was really interesting to hear Cobain come to the airwaves and seeing Grohl like thrashing around, and I was just like kind of blew me away. I was like, wow, this is really crazy. And I was like, I didn't like it at first, and then all of a sudden it just kind of encapsulated me. I was just like, just totally blown away, man. It's crazy. That's why I started really playing guitar to like their second follow-up album after that one. And that, learning all their songs and stuff like that. So
Did you expect the whole Seattle scene to take off like it did? Like, it blew up, on a worldwide scale. Did you kind of see that coming, or was it a whole surprise for you?
I mean, that's a good question. Like I was 11 years old, 12 years old at the time, so I was just starting middle school, and yeah, I don't know, man. Like I know Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and Nirvana were like Alice in Chains were just like amazing. I remember my mom, she showed me Alice in Chains Facelift, like one of her buddies at coworkers or something, like recorded it on a cassette from a CD, back in those days, and I was like, this sounds really strange too, but my mom was always good at discovering interesting and new music that was coming out. She's always staying ahead of the curve. So yeah, who knew it was just gonna like blow up, man? It's like, wow.
And when did you finally get into a band?
Oh gosh, I think I was about 12, 13 years old.
You started.
Yeah,
You had your
play a
first
Halloween party, at the school, middle school Halloween dance or something like that. I think we won some crazy contest or something.
And from there, when did you finally get into like your first like pro band where you started, making some money playing clubs and all that? When did that kind of start?
That probably started, mid-teens maybe, in a band I had since I was a freshman called Prozac Staple. And we went from about 1994 till, I don't know, I'd say 2005 maybe. And our last thing that we did that was interesting was probably opening for Slayer and Mastodon and Killswitch Engage, kind of on a regional level, like when the Jägermeister tour was pretty big at that time, kind of early 2000s. But yeah, we were playing all over the clubs around Seattle and Portland and touring down to LA. And yeah, for sure, man.
And that band was what kind of genre was that band? Was that more of a heavier band or?
Yeah, very heavy, like Cookie Monster growling vocals with like Tool type kind of System of a Down, Incubus melodies with Metallica type guitar work, and a lot of harmonies, a lot of doubling up, a lot of solos, a lot of instrumental, a lot of tapping of the bass. Our bass player was a big songwriter, true artist. I mean, he could he can come up with some weird stuff, man. I mean, the guy was building clay houses, and you know what I mean. Like he was very Tim Burton, like inspired, I guess you could say. But he came up with a lot of the riffs on bass, and we kind of go around him. You know what I'm saying? So it was a whole different ball game playing in that band. I was more of like a support guitar player, like guitar and drums are like the rhythm section, and then the bass was kind of more of a out front. And then the singer, he was kind of busy, but he would growl and like blow you away, live. He would wear goat pants and go crazy on stage. And yeah, we had the whole performance thing on stage down pretty well at that time. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And from there, did you form 1967?
Yeah, that kind of fizzled out. Then I moved to Arizona from Washington State in my late 20s, I believe. This is around 2011. Went through a few things. I think I moved down there in 2007, did a few things, tried to become a pro golfer, which didn't work out. And then started 1967 and 2011, just started shopping a demo around, kind of like Dave Grohl, and finding local players in Phoenix. And yeah, man, just had a bunch of music written and just started finding people for it. And then I met Dave Ellefson down there because I think he lived in Phoenix then. He might still live there. He recommended me to Nathan Marchi, one of the main drummers back then. And yeah, we were kind of off and running, man.
And with 1967, how did the whole idea come about for the name first? What's up with the name 1967?
Yeah, that was my brother Jeff Reynolds' birth year, and he passed away in 1998. It's still an unsolved homicide up in Washington State, Skagit County, and we're still trying to figure out what happened to him. And the first drummer I had, Dustin Failner, his brother was born in 1967 and also had been gone. So we kind of like, we bonded on that fact. And he's like, how about 1967? I kind of got to get a ring to him. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, great year for cars and music. Yeah, let's do it. I love it.
And how did the idea come about for like the type of music you would play? So what do you categorize 1967 as? What genre? What kind of band are you guys?
I'd say like alternative rock, maybe on the harder rock side of things. So yeah, alt rock for sure. I mean, there's a lot of melodies, there's a lot of hook choruses and things like that. I mean, definitely mainstream rock radio type stuff for sure. You know what I mean? Pretty straightforward, no gimmicks, just in your face, straightforward rock and roll. You know what I mean?
So you guys have been doing pretty much live shows for the last 10 years or so, right?
Yes, sir.
Playing all up and down the West Coast. And you guys finally released an EP. This was last year, your first EP? Or your latest EP?
Second or third EP, yeah, over the years.
And talk to me about the production with your latest EP. You had a very special producer for this one.
Yeah, we had a platinum producer named John Kerswig, who produced the first 3 Creed records, you know, at their height, as well as Puddle of Mud. And I think he's worked with Godsmack and Jewel and Eagle Eye Cherry. And yeah, when I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico, gosh, back in 2018 to 2019, maybe, I met him there. He lives there, and he's got a studio there. He plays out in the bar still. Like, I mean, he's always doing something, right? I mean, dude's phone's always ringing. But yeah, man, no, that was like I think I did that over about a 6-month period. You know, I had the 5 songs written back in 2016, and I said, hey, man, I feel like I need to get these done. He's like, let's do it. He kind of liked it. He was like, that's pretty good. And yeah, we went in, just knocked that thing out in about 6 months, just kind of wherever we could, really, you know, going after work, get some things done, do some tracking. We did all the drums at our drummer Matt's place in Gilbert, Arizona, which is Phoenix. And then we brought all the drum tracks into John, and then I did all the rest of the instrumentation and vocals. Yeah, dude, that was a really fun project. John's a great guy. I consider him a good friend now. Yeah, the guy's he's pretty incredible, and he's got a lot of amazing ideas with production. You're just like, I'm like, how do you figure all this stuff out? I mean, maybe 40 years of experience, right?
Yeah.
You know, like he didn't know Creed was gonna do what it did, right?
Yeah, basically.
Just another little project.
And so with this latest EP, are you guys happy with it, how it came out?
Yeah, I'm very content with it. It was a really good experience. I'm happy with how all the tracks came out. Yeah, man, totally happy with it.
And you got any shows coming up that you want to promote?
Yeah, I got a ton of shows around Portland coming up. A lot of solo acoustic work. I've got some band shows up near Bellingham, Washington. Some things in Portland happening. Gosh, what else do I have going on? I think I'm going to be in Phoenix in January doing a few things with St. Jude Rock and Roll Marathon. So yeah, we got a few things coming up. We are available for direct support and opening shows and tours this and next year as well. So, you know, the bigger national runs, we're interested in that kind of stuff, and, you know, national openings in town and stuff like that in Seattle. We just did a little run with Nonpoint, for example, back in June. So that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for, man. National stuff.
And if you could name like a band or a record that changed your life, that made you want to, you know, get into music. You named some earlier, but is there anything else that you think, you know, changed you as a musician?
Oh gosh, man. I mean, maybe Metallica's Ride the Lightning. I think that's an amazing album. I mean, when I heard Fade to Black when I was about 8 years old, and I was pretty blown away at that time. I remember that. I was just like, wow, why is this band like? You hear Fight Fire with Fire, and you're like, how do you? Okay, that's that band, and then you hear Fade to Black, and you're like, this is really confusing.
Yeah.
How do you go from that to that?
It's almost like another singer on the track, but it's the same singer, right?
Yeah. Couldn't understand it, but I really liked it. You know.
And what's your favorite part about playing live?
Oh, it's exhilarating. I mean, time basically stands still, you know, however long you're up there playing. I just love, you know, being really, you know, loud and just kicking ass, man. Just going for it and giving it everything I have, putting all my heart into it. So
now, you've been doing this for almost 30 years. Do you have any advice for young musicians out there?
Just keep going, keep persisting, just keep rocking and rolling. Don't give up. 10x everything that you do. You got to do 10 times as much as everybody else to stand out above the rest.
And do you think, like, you've been like in music for a while, how do you think it's changed? Like, over time, we have streaming now, and, you know, people don't buy records anymore. Do you think that's affected music a lot?
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, I feel like the attention span of the consumer has really shortened. You know, like I can scroll on YouTube and listen to like 10 seconds of one song and 5 of another and 30 of another, and then maybe I'll listen to 2 minutes of another song. So it's I think it's tough to break out of obscurity still. I mean, I'm sure it was back then, but, you know, as you know, the good music usually goes to the top, right? If it's good, it's good. So for sure, man.
And where can people
it's very challenging for artists. Absolutely.
And where can people find your music?
You can go to Apple Music, Spotify. You can go to 1967band.com. We just released a documentary in early September as well, which is on there, which is kind of fun. Got some videos up there. All the retailers, all the platforms. I mean, we're pretty much everywhere.
You guys are on social media and all that too, Instagram.
Yeah, 1967band is the handle for Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well. Been doing a lot of work on there as well.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Jamie, for coming on the show.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Stay
Opportunity.
heavy, everybody.
Talk to you soon.